Hey, this is Katrin Davis-daughter, winner of 2015 CrossFit Games, and you're listening to The Expansion Project.
Hey guys, before I start the show, I want to tell you all about a new company that I just launched that I'm super excited about. It's called breakparallel.com. I have teamed up with a friend and partner of mine named Jarrett Scheinman, and we have put together a website that pulls together all the best content from the functional fitness community. So that means videos from your favorite companies and of your favorite athletes. It also means lots of cool photo galleries. Plus, we're going to do some giveaways. We're going to have a great newsletter that's going to have some exclusive offers in there. So please bookmark breakparallel.com. Check it out every day for all the updates. And of course, tell your friends about it, post on your social networks about it, and help us get the word out there. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Expansion Project podcast. I am your host, Fat Tony, and I am joined today by my brand new co-host, Jerry Lamigo, who I will tell you about in just a little bit. On this show, we have casual yet deep conversations with professional athletes, entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, bloggers, investors, musicians, and anybody else that we find to be either successful or just plain interesting. And the hope is that we will expand our own minds and yours while motivating and inspiring people along the way. Our guest today is Christmas Abbott. Christmas is a social media queen, and she is the newly published author of a book called The Badass Body Diet. She is also an event announcer and host, and she is an entrepreneur who runs seminars and owns her own gym. And of course, Christmas is a badass CrossFit and weightlifting athlete. On this episode, we started off by talking about the business of social media and how it helped Christmas's career. Christmas also gave us a really great analogy of her internal drive to succeed in life and compared it to that of a car. We also got to ask Christmas about the Badass Body Diet and the process of what it was like writing and publishing her first book. Don't get me wrong, it's easy to get distracted by Christmas's killer body and beautiful face, but underneath all that is an incredibly sweet girl with an amazing entrepreneurial mindset that we can all learn a lot from. Now you guys might be wondering about my new co-host that I mentioned, Jerry Lamigo. You guys will remember him from episode 27 of the podcast. Jerry is the founder and CEO of wadshop.com. And we got connected earlier this year through the CrossFit community, and we became friends. And after I interviewed him for the podcast, he expressed interest in wanting to help out and be a part of the podcast. So for me, this podcast has been a learning experience and a growing experience. And when I set out to do it earlier this year in 2015, my idea was that I wanted to A, learn how to create a podcast, and B, I wanted to have cool conversations with people that I normally might not have, and C, I just wanted to connect with people and grow and expand myself as much as possible and as many different ways as possible. So now that I'm 30 episodes into this thing or so, Jerry hit me up and said he wanted to be a part of it, and at this point I kind of thought to myself, what better way to grow and expand even more than I already have than to throw somebody else in the mix? So I'm going to learn a lot by helping teach Jerry what, the process is behind the podcast, but I'm also going to get to connect with him on a deeper level and grow our friendship and basically just kind of see where this podcast goes with another person thrown into the mix. So Jerry joined me today as my co-host for the very first time, and he'll be joining me on other episodes, and he'll be kind of helping out with the back end of the podcast and everything. So as of right now, we're not 100% where things are going to go, but we're both really, really excited to figure it out, and we hope that you guys are going to enjoy the addition of Jerry as well. Before we start the show, I want to thank everybody who has shared the show on their social networks and told a friend about the show, because as I keep saying, you guys are the only marketing that we have. Also, thanks to everybody who has gone over to iTunes and left a 5-star rating and a positive review. Please keep those coming as well. That really helps other people find the show. And of course, we still have the affiliate links on theexpansionprojectpodcast.com. Go there, and on the right side of the page, you'll see an Amazon banner, a link to Chef Kate's Nut Butter, and a link to Nutrisuma. There's also a promo code for 20% off Nutrisuma using the promo code FATTONY1 on Nutrisuma.com. So check out those links. Also, we want to apologize for the spotty connection that we had today. We're not sure what was going on with the internet, but it just wasn't cooperating 100%. So it's a little spotty at times, but please hang in there. All right, now we'll welcome our guest to the show, Christmas Abbott. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today.
Thank you.
So you are a queen of social media, and I have to know if growing your social media presence was a conscious business decision on your part, or was it something that happened a little bit more organically?
I'll have to admit that then once multiple people told me about how they loved my brand and everything that it represented and the look and feel to it, that's when I was a lot more conscious of it. But the first few years, for sure, it was just definitely organic and posting the things that I liked and cared about and was enthusiastic about.
Yeah, so once you kind of realized that it was a good business tool and stuff, was there anything specific that you did to help grow that? Maybe, any tips that you can pass along to other people that are looking to kind of up their presence or anything?
First and foremost is just be honest and versus posting things that you think that people want to see or hear. Authenticity goes so far, and it's the first thing to be removed when people start conforming to what other people think that they want. So definitely, make sure that it's your flair. It's your, if you look at it or see it, you want it to represent you fully. Mm-hmm. And then second, tagging yourself, making sure that your trademark information is abundant. Hashtagging what it is that maybe you have a slogan or a brand name and tagging it in your own photo, not just waiting for other people to tag you, because then you're creating more content and it's getting out there. And then just making sure that you're smart about your posts and driving at the right time, making sure that you're not over posting in a short period of time and then going off the radar for weeks on end. Consistency is also key here. And just having a good time with it. People will know when it's authentic and you're enjoying it versus you're forcing things to happen.
Yeah, so was anybody helping you with this? Because even just things like posting at the right time, like on your own, how would you figure that out? Or maybe you did have somebody helping you out. I'm real curious about that.
You know what? I wish I had a mentor. I had a guy that showed me what Instagram was one year, and then he came back a year later and I hadn't used it at all. And he's like, Christmas, you got to use this. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And, at first, don't try and dive into everything all at once. You have to layer, this is the same thing as reaching a bigger goal. You have to have these smaller goals put into place. Understand how to use the app. Understand how to repost things. Understand how to tag your friends or yourself. Those are some fundamentals that you need to understand before you and using the analytics to really push content and properly place content. Well, hi. My cat's kind of hanging out with me.
Nice. What's your cat's name?
Miss Shro.
Miss Shro?
Shro.
Shro, okay.
Not my cat, but it's, anyway.
Sorry, the cat distracted me from our social network conversation. I had a great follow-up question. Oh, yeah, so can you give me a specific example of something that has happened in the past that's been kind of a direct result of your Instagram, whether it be, some kind of endorsement deal or some type of just win for your brand, or, something that's really helped you out as a result of, you kind of learning how to use this social media so effectively?
Social media is so strong. It honestly really, in our time, you no longer have to push anything, it's at your fingertips. So you can create an entire brand and an entire subculture just through social media. There's been a lot of successes with sponsors and my business personally. Social media is the only way that I promote my seminars, specifically through Instagram, Facebook, Fitmoo, and Viber. Those are the only avenues that I use to promote my seminars, and they do really well. I have anywhere between 60 and 80 people per seminar. So it can be a marketing tool, but if you oversaturate your page with marketing, then people aren't going to follow you. So it has to be just a little bit of a dash here and there. And really, I fight with a lot of my companies in the sense that they want a lot of promotion. And I want to promote them all the time, but my followers definitely, they're like, we don't want to see this commercial over and over. Even if it's truly organic, it's sometimes a little bit in your face when it's too often. So it can be a great tool to to put your information out there and to, create more followers, create content, but you have to balance it out really well. So I've had a lot of great direct results from social media. Most of my success has been from posting my failures and successes and projects on social media.
Yeah. So kind of sidestepping from business to personal in the social media, which I guess is part of your business as well. There's so much overlap, obviously. But I know from my experience in my social media, I get people reaching out to me, kind of telling me how I've inspired them and things like that. Can you give us kind of a good heartwarming story of maybe somebody you've connected with? And like I said, I'm sure people, comment to you all the time saying that you inspired them and you helped them through this, that, and the other. But is there any one good story you can give us from something like that?
There's so many that I actually have an email file, and a hard file as well, but an email file of emails that I get that are just genuinely inspiring them to accomplish something or help them realize that they are able to do something different, whatever it may be. I try and keep that because when I'm having a crappy day, I like to kind of fall back on that and remember, hey, look, here's your purpose. Sometimes you just have to go through the bad to get to the good. But one particular, most recently, is this couple came through one of my seminars, and she, not even perfectly, but followed it pretty closely. And she had huge success with weight loss. And then she and her husband got pregnant. And the doctor told her that it was, because she had been so successful in managing her weight, that she was able to get pregnant easier because they had been trying for a while and not been able to be to be successful. And she emailed me immediately and told me all about it. And one of her friends came to the games and relayed the message that they wish they could be there, but she's now like super pregnant. And it was just a really, really cool thing to hear that the stuff that I'm passionate about helped this lady and her husband create this life. And that's going to be the biggest thing in their life to come. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. There's some other really, really cool stories that just melt my heart and just bring tears to my eyes immediately.
That's
but that
amazing.
Was one of the recent ones that I'm really, really humbled to be a part of.
Totally. That's definitely a great story. I'm glad I asked that question. Do you think she has any plans to name the baby after you? If it's a girl, maybe Christmas. If it's a boy, maybe first name Abbott or something?
No, but there has been some names. There was actually, I met another couple there. They had a girl, and they were so inspired for everything that I've done that they actually named her first name Abbott, and somebody else named a daughter Christmas. So I'm having like a little bit of a clan here.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. It's such an honor. I can't even wrap my head around it sometimes.
That's awesome.
And that's just huge to be, even so indirectly, a huge life that they're willing to do that and include me forever in their life indirectly.
Absolutely.
That's really, I don't even have words for it. Like I'm lost for words.
That's so cool. So we're going to switch gears a little bit from social media and talk about some of the business stuff that you're involved in. So we kind of went over this in the intro before we brought you on, but you own a gym. You do in-person seminars and online seminars, which you're about to, by the time this airs, you'll have already released your fall seminar schedule, so that's super exciting.
Yes.
You also just recently published a book, which we're going to talk about. And then you do appearances for your sponsors and you do hosting gigs. So you have a lot going on. So Jerry's going to ask a few business questions.
So coming into this whole world of fitness, did you have any formal business training going into it, or was it kind of just learning along the way? And
That's so funny. I took a semester in college, and all they did was teach you how to create a business plan, which to me was absurd. So there's been no formal education on business development for me. It's something that I've always enjoyed. I took marketing in high school, and it was one of the few classes that I just excelled in and took interest to versus wanting to just leave. And I've always had a knack for business in the sense that I like to see system, to see the startup of something, implement the processes, and see them be executed, and then here's your finished product. And I like this cycle, and I like seeing how you can improve it, because every business is going to grow naturally, but you can foster that business and have it grow exponentially. And the choice is up to you, and it's the work put into it. So it's always been interesting to me, and it's just as interesting to me as fitness, and social media is a business. So it's really fascinating, and luckily I get to combine the two most interesting things for me into one life.
That's
so
awesome.
No formal education, but a lot of street education, a tremendous amount, which I don't advocate to people. Find a mentor, please find a mentor. You don't have to take everything that they tell you, but they will give you these nuggets of gold, and you will use her. My current business partner with my gym, helped me create the pro forma that I needed for my second gym, technically. And, you have to have that person that has an opposite view of you to bounce off ideas and to keep you grounded. So I'm the big picture kind of girl, and he's very, very cynical. And he rips everything apart. Like, there's no hope in this world if you talk to him for 5 minutes, But I love it because he challenges me to look at all the dirty details. But I challenge him to step outside that comfort zone and to be more ambitious with our project. So it helps to have that partner or mentor or go-to person to bounce off ideas that is going to be straight with you, and play the devil's advocate for a while. And just through trial and error, I've navigated this myself, and I'm still navigating myself. But at least now I've found some business mentors that I have an idea and need to have somebody to chuck it up, to be honest with me.
That's awesome.
So you said that you were kind of always like this, I've told a story on this podcast before about when I was in high school. I sold candy at school, and when I was younger than that, I sold my old Legos to my neighborhood kids and stuff. So
hustling.
Yeah, exactly. I was a natural born hustler. So do you have any stories like that, of kind of that entrepreneurial spirit exposing itself at an early age for you?
Yeah, it's funny. I remember my grandmother always had a ton of Post-its and a big mug of pens and markers and pencils and a notepad every time, like no matter what, that was on her. My sister would go to my grandparents, and we would pretend to make an office, and we would pretend like people would buy stuff, and we would give them Post-its, and I would do inventory. And I'm 8 years old, and I was just running my own business at 8 years old. I started working regularly when I was 14. I started busing tables. I was legally allowed to bus tables, and so I got paid for it. And I've just always wanted to work or be active or do something. And really it was monetary driven when I figured it out 14, 15, that if I wanted something, I had to buy it myself, and I had to make my own money. And the only way to do that was to outwork everybody else. And I still feel that way. But it's always been interesting to me. I love it because it's any way that you want to create it, which is amazing and also awful at the same time. You're like, it's whatever you want it to be, however you want to structure it, it's up to you. Where I usually just need a template to run from, and it allows me too much freedom is not a good thing for me. But yeah, I'm the same way. I've always enjoyed it. 8 years old, my little factory. And I sold chocolate covered pretzels in the neighborhood. We used the money to buy more candy and ice cream, which is not
awesome.
far from the truth now.
That's awesome. I found the same thing with myself, as trying to find out what it is that really drives me. So you seem so driven. Where do you think all that drives comes from? What, maybe it's connecting with your purpose, you mentioned purpose and having your clients connect with that. So where does that drive come from for you?
Well, I think the drive is very similar to, think of a 5-speed manual car, or even a car. Like I grew up on manual. So the drive is being in motion, and you pull from different areas of your life. So at first you have to be in first gear. Sometimes that's just surface level drive. Like I want to be able to afford to pay my house payment. That can be one drive. And then you go into a second drive. So you're going in second gear. And that comes from being able to have a positive footprint into the world and leave it better than when I was here, when I was born into it, Yeah. Third gear can be, I want to live my life healthily and be 80 years old and still have a high quality of independent living. And then you go into fourth gear, and it's just, you layer it on, and there's no one, this is it. This is the only drive that I have. And there's no other resource. That's there. And usually it's a collection of things that you're passionate about and that you want to continue to work towards. My fans are a huge drive for me, to hear their success stories, to be able to provide information that they understand and that they're able to take and run with it and then make it better for themselves. And so the drive is just a freaking jungle. What is it? What do you call it when you juggle? Juggle. Jungle. No. You're juggling the reasons for your drive.
Sure.
But as long as you stay in motion, then you keep it going.
Cool.
Awesome.
I love that analogy, and how fitting for you to relate your drive to an automobile. So
I like to drive too.
So you said you only took just a little bit of business class in school or whatever. Throughout all your business endeavors up to this point of your life, where do you feel like you've learned the most about running the business?
It's kind of like reading about being a coach and reading about CrossFit, or hearing somebody explain to you what CrossFit's like, but you have no idea what it's like or how to do it unless you're doing it. Mm-hmm. So I tell people, I'm like, look, you're going to plan it out, and you're going to have these strategies. It's going to be just tight and well put together, and then you're actually going to apply it, and shit's going to fall apart. You have to understand which way to navigate when that starts coming apart, or anticipate, have safety nets in place, know when you need to pull the trigger, know when you need to draw the line. If you don't have those parameters set up, or acknowledgement that could happen, then you're in trouble. Being unrealistic about the potential opportunity growth or the potential downfall of your business is devastating. You can't. Of course, if you're going to business, you think that it's going to be successful. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they're right for themselves. Normally, it's not to start off. And I advocate that they start slow, have organic step-by-step processes, meaning, I didn't open my gym with like $150,000 invested day one. I had a boot camp that I was able to save enough money, equipment, and then I negotiated with my landlord to give me this space, and just really with $10,000 was able to open a gym, a storefront. And then from there, I just kept reinvesting into the gym and paid myself minimally. People think that you can walk in and have this great, or loans you take out, you have to pay back. And to be cash positive in a company day one, year one is unheard of. So I just try and take a conservative approach with cash, but an aggressive liberal approach to growth.
I like that. That's a great way to look at it. Unfortunately, it's pretty spotty. I'm going to turn off the video and hope that the audio clears up a little bit. So my apologies to the listeners for any spottiness you've heard. I'm going to stop video. So moving right along here, with doing so much, how do you manage your time? You know, you've got all these different things on your plate. You're a very busy person. I'm curious to know, are there specific things that you do in order to maximize your time and manage your time, whether that be, you know, certain types of calendars or people helping you out?
Oh man, I have calendars, I have reminders, I have a team. it's an operation now, and it didn't start off that way. I manage my calendar myself because I need to know what's happening in my own life, and it's important to me to know that. I do have like a business manager. You know, I have a manager that works with my business relationships. Beyond that, I kind of take control over everything else. But I do have a great team. I have a personal assistant, freak out about that, but she's amazing and she keeps me in line. And then I have a business manager or business operations executive where she's kind of taking over for a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. It's a work in progress over the last 2.5 years to get to this point where I have this team. But I am absolutely dependent on my calendar on my phone, and then I use Outlook. So Outlook has been really, really helpful for me. My assistant and my ops managers, they have access to my Outlook calendar, so they can see my schedule at all times. That's my overall calendar. My detailed calendar is in my phone. So if I have a day of multiple appointments, that's in my detailed calendar. And honestly, reminders, constantly reviewing. I have a set schedule when I'm home. I try not to deviate from that because it allows me to be productive as possible and not feel like I'm overwhelmed or getting behind on things. I have weekly, monthly reports that my ops manager sends to me. I have the same thing kind of personally that my personal assistant sits down and we review together. And I'm a task. I have to write everything down. I don't even know what. Oh, it's underneath. I have a notebook that I write everything down. As soon as I do it, I cross it off. And if it carries over the next day, then I just keep it on the task list until it's been crossed off. I like whiteboarding for ideas and brainstorming. I get my girls together and we'll powwow some ideas, and it kind of formulates where if you're by yourself, you're going to have an idea, but you're only going to be restricted to your own imagination. And somebody else can say this may work or that may work, but this is a better alternative, or this could be a good addition to what you're thinking about. So I have brainstorming sessions with my girls like once a month or so, but everything is regimented. It's on a calendar, especially when I'm home in Raleigh.
Very cool. Sorry, so your video is still going and it's still a little bit spotty. As much as I want to see you and hang out via Skype. Pause. Yeah, just turn off the video portion if you can.
Got it.
Cool. Yeah, perfect. So with all these different business endeavors you have going on in your life, without getting too personal, can you help me understand the pie chart of your income stream breakdown? I'm always so curious how people take their passions and turn them into businesses. And as a self-employed person myself that has income streams coming from many different directions, can you give me a little bit of the pie chart breakdown of where your money comes from these days?
So I've worked closely with, I have a business lawyer, and he's amazing, and he's set up my several companies to really protect me. And since I am in a whole bunch of different areas, he wanted to make sure that the payments were going to the appropriate businesses versus just one master business. So I've also, if you're self-employed, I have one holding company that is actual incorporated. So I am a W-2 under my own incorporation. That's my holding company. Mm-hmm. And that holding company charges my other companies a quote-unquote management fee. So that's kind of like what I'm going to pay myself eventually, at least a part of. And it's taxed. So if I need to go buy a new car, then I have a W-2 versus being self-employed.
Yep.
I think that a lot of people don't do that. And then I put everything, I put my phone, I write everything off on my expenses, my, insurance. Please, people, get insurance. It's not needed until it's needed, and then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I write, my home office off. I have a strong CPA. So those things are important for if you're looking up to set up your own industry, not industry, but your own incorporation. My payment flow, my pie chart, my bread and butter is really the, for what my work is going to be the seminars. Mm-hmm. And that probably is 60% of my income, give or take. The second largest portion is going to come from sponsorships. Mm-hmm. Now, I have started to make a push to where, I've only endorsed things that I cared about or liked or used historically anyway, and I love that my fans know that, and I will continue to do that. It's just now, instead of being paid on the front end, I'm taking a back end equity hold or shareholding of the company.
Ah, very interesting.
So I'm just, and it's stuff that I believe in. So obviously I want to see the company grow,
right? Instead
of just posting for cash.
Yep.
I've made a big push for that over the last few year. And then, my gym is probably the smallest amount of income. I think next month my business partner with the gym and I are launching an online nutrition coaching program. I don't, that's kind of not sure. I never count on money until, I have been paid my taxes and paid the bills, and then whatever's left over.
Yeah. Got it. Very cool. Yeah. That's interesting that you're taking the equity in the company. Is that something that was your decision and you kind of thought that up, or did somebody on your team sort of help you realize that might be a better way to go about things?
No, that was just my way and honestly, it was because I loved the company so much that I was like, how do I get into this? Mm-hmm. Like, let me buy in. And then we had the conversation of what it actually looked like to be, a sponsored athlete, but really an equity holder.
Yeah.
And, I'd much rather invest and I've invested my own money into companies too. So it's not like I just get paid with equity. That's not it at all. But I believe it so much that I've paid into my own money in order to be able to be part of that company. And, that's what it's a risk, but it's also a reward. And I want to be able to have these relationships long term. I don't want one-off, little sponsorships. I want to be able to align myself with companies that I love and I'm passionate about and I want to see grow. And you're seeing that a lot right now, especially in CrossFit, where these companies are coming together and making these huge, like these strong groups. Specifically, some that are right off the top of my head are like Barbell Shrugged, Fit Aid, and Nutriforce Sports. We're all kind of collaborating. And it's this nice synergy. We all know each other. We all have the same kind of business mindset. And we're not going to be involved in every single thing that the other company is doing. Mm-hmm. But the collaboration, the power behind the collaboration is there. So when and if we do collaborate on something and we all come together, then it's just a freaking powerhouse.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for being so open and candid with that stuff. It's really fascinating to hear about that.
Awesome. So let's switch gears a little bit, and I'm curious to hear a little more about your book. I know a little bit about it through the CBS interview that you did, but if you can tell our audience a little bit about it, like what's it called, what was your goal with it, and like who were you trying to reach with it?
It's called the Badass Body Diet. I did not want to put diet in there. And I fought on this, but it was explained to me this way that the diet word, needs to be, it's a hook. It makes them understand that this is a food modification book. And then in the book, I explain that this is not actually like a diet, because this is going to be sustainable. It's the way that it's going to change the way that you eat in a positive sense, that excuse me, I get excited and I get ahead of myself. That you will be able to apply for the rest of your life without having to think about it or being restricted or feel like you're crashing and dying. So the audience that I really wanted to trigger, I don't know why I'm having such problems.
Target. The audience wanted to target, maybe?
Yes. The audience was really an extension of who attends my seminars. And I have a lot of women specifically that don't do CrossFit that come to my nutrition seminar. And I thought that was interesting. One, because they're not working out in the CrossFit community, but they're wanting to make their bodies better and know how to see nutrition. So mostly the biggest audience are going to be like your everyday woman that just wants to feel better and wants to be able to control what she's eating without having to be restricted. A lot of them are CrossFitters. A lot of them are in the fitness community. But I have a pretty significant amount that are not super CrossFitters. And they're just, moms that want to feed their kids better and understand nutrition and make it super simple. And that's one of the things that I did well, at least I think I did well, was simplify nutrition in a nutshell and make it to the point where you see food differently as fuel and reward. You can literally look at the menu if you're eating out and make an educated decision on a meal, and it be pretty darn close to what you would make at home.
That's awesome. That's where I kind of see you as like a jack of all trades, so to speak. So I see you as strong but beautiful, but as also a great influence on other women. And besides that, what was the actual process of getting the book deal like? Like, if you could walk us through the steps from like the inception to actually getting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was aggressive. To be honest, it was aggressive. I had already had most of my content for the book created through my nutrition seminars. So when I sat down to write it, I collaborated with Maggie Green, and she has her doctorates, because I wanted to be able to have that strong medical background because I'm not formally educated. I'm not a nutritionist. So I needed somebody on my team that was a heavy hitter in the industry. So we sat down, and I had already wrote a lot of it, and she came in and helped me organize my thoughts. Because if you haven't been able to tell already, I'm like ADD, I'm a scatterbrain. I make it work for me somehow, and I figured it out. So you create a sample chapter, which is, your intro, a chapter of what, one or two chapters of what would be in the book, and then the end. And you have a book agent. I had a book agent. And the book agent took the sample chapter and pitched it to all of these publishing companies. They decide whether or not they want to meet with you, pending their interest of the book. Mm-hmm. In 2 days, I had 12 meetings.
Wow.
It was, and he was just like, I don't even know what to say about this. And then before the second day, when I was en route to the airport, I had an official offer before, we had a week, and they wanted to give an official offer before I even left the city, which was mind-blowing to me. So at that point, I decided to go with HarperCollins, and it's been an amazing experience with them. They really are one of the best for a reason. And then it was time to finish the book. So they agree on a price to give you for an advance, meaning that advance, and this is traditional book publishing, there's a lot of other avenues that you can go with. The book advance is the money that they think that they can guarantee to sell for, and you get the, what is it called?
Royalties?
Royalties. My brain is shutting down. I've already had like 3 breakfasts today.
No worries. I'm here for you, Christmas. I got you covered.
They're confident that you're going to be able to hit those royalties with the agreement that you guys have in place. From there, you know, they section that out depending on what your payment schedule looks like. From there, you finish the book, and then it goes into this very rigorous editing process, which I was not aware that it was that rigorous. And you're rereading the book several times, and by the end of this, you're like, I don't even know what I'm reading anymore. It doesn't make sense anymore. You have to kind of remove yourself and rely on the editors to kind of make sure that there are no glaring errors. But most of that has been already combed through anyway. So then we submit the artwork. I fought to have the pictures that are on there. I think they wanted something not super conservative, but they were looking more of like sports bra and shorts look. And I was like, no, you guys get to put the word diet on there, and I get to put my booty. So it's nice. We're calling it a truce now. And you know, they'll push back, but if you push back, you know, it's really what you want because it's your book. And then we decided, they told me what the release date would be, and then we just started doing marketing launches up until the book release. And the book release, we had, you know, a couple showings, and I'd go and talk about it like the traditional book signing, which was really bizarre because they kept giving me a table, and I was like, I can't sit behind your table. I'm going to hug everybody that comes through. So and it was really a great process. Probably the most rigorous was the editing, but only because I was so familiar with the content already, and it was such a great way for me to be able to express all the things that I wanted to express on how to build for goals and how to set up for success. And it's the stuff that I talk about religiously every day. So it wasn't a hard write for me.
Gotcha. So all those book signings and the marketing stuff, that was done through the publishing company?
A lot of them were. But actually in my PR company. So I hired a PR company during this time to help promote the book.
Cool. So I'm a big fan of Tim Ferriss. I don't know how familiar you are with him, but this question is his style of question. But can you describe your creative writing process? Like, how do you work the best when you're actually writing the book? Was this early morning sessions with coffee and your cat, or was it late night, like grinding away in a dark corner? Paint me a picture of what you look like while you're working on writing the book.
You know, I'm such a busybody, and like I said, I definitely have ADD, that I had to force myself to sit down and answer questions. And instead of just free writing, I was like, here's a list of questions that I want myself to answer, and I would go in and answer those questions. And it helped create the content for the book. I already had it in my head. I just had to put it on paper. And finding time to do that was bizarre. So like I said before, I'm really big on schedules. Tuesday mornings were kind of my thing, where I would go to the coffee shop. I had a list of questions that I wanted to answer. And then Maggie Green, my co-write, or not co-write, but the woman that was helping me, she would send additional questions for any gaps that I kind of missed. And I would just sit there and write, and in my little coffee shop, chilling out. And I would make sure that I didn't have anything for several hours, if not until the afternoon, in order for me to be able to just sit down without any influence. I'd turn my phone off so I wouldn't get any distractions. I wouldn't look at my emails. You know, you just got to remove yourself from the opportunity to be disrupted. And I try to do that once a week. And that's what I'm doing now I'm working on 2 at the same time. So I'm doing a recipe one, and then I'm doing one. It's kind of, I don't want to give it too much direction. I'm letting it kind of figure itself organically, but I definitely want to do one in the push of a business aspect.
Awesome. That's a perfect segue into the next question we have here for you.
Yeah. What did you actually learn during this whole book writing endeavor? And also, what would you do differently for these new upcoming books?
Man, I'll tell you what, the book writers are not as wimpy as you think they are. They put in some serious time in order to make these books, and they're like a really well put together book. So I have a lot of respect. I'm actually reading The Work Revolution right now from Clow, and I love it. And I'm just trying to. It makes me more prone to reach out to other authors, and I'll hopefully get to meet her in person in New York soon. But the process was really therapeutic for me because you're creating stuff that you believe in that is going to be put into the world permanently. And in a day of social media where everything is digital, to be able to still kind of have that true form of artwork, as in writing, on the shelf, it was really, really cool for me. So otherwise, I just think that writers, man, it sounds like you have like this posh life where you're just like sitting in this beautiful room writing beautiful things all day, but it's very rigorous and a little bit daunting in the sense that you have a lot of pressure and it's all you.
Sure.
So what did you take away from this process, or what did you learn from this book process that you're going to use next time to make the process that much easier, or maybe something you're going to do differently next time?
You know what? And some people may like fault me for this, but it was such a great experience collectively that I really, really not sure. I think I'd probably just dedicate a little bit more time. I'd be a little bit more aggressive with making sure that I have my like a Tuesday, Thursday morning to sit down for the content. I wouldn't be on the road when I have to do my reviews. And now that I understand the process a little bit, making sure that the launches are a little bit more, not organized, but appropriate to the timing of when I want to do things. But really, it was just such a great process. And having the content, having built the content for so many years already, really helped write it. So if you're writing something from scratch, then make sure that you're ready and willing to do an incredible amount of research and you become a subject matter expert. That is what you're proclaiming to be when you write a book.
Right.
So I don't know if I would do anything differently. I really had a great time with it.
Yeah, cool.
I can't say anything about it,
Yeah, that's great. You mentioned a book that you're reading right now, Julie Clow. Is that what you said? Tell me what that book was again.
It's just talking about how the work experience doesn't have to be your traditional 9 to 5. That you can really kind of create your own work environment, doing what you love, and it just sets up parameters for you to evaluate that. And I'm just kind of like in the beginning of it, and I'm working through it. But I just think that, it talks about a lot of fears, like traditional fears versus what is truly acceptable now. And really anything goes now. So it is what you want it to be. If you're restricted and you're like, oh man, I have to wear these terrible clothes, or oh man, I have to go to this terrible office. Well, let's evaluate what it would take in order to make a change where you're excited about wearing those clothes or going to the office. And I think that she just walks you through that. And it's pretty cool because she's saying that you can do it. You just have to evaluate and do it in a smart way.
Right. And what's the name of that book? I'd love to link it in the show notes so people can check that out.
It's called Praise for the Work Revolution.
Cool. So that'll be linked on the show notes, either on the iTunes page or on the Expansion Project podcast.com for any listeners who want to check that out. So switching gears a little bit again here, a little bit more to actual fitness and stuff, but still sort of centered around business and marketing yourself and whatnot. So you own a CrossFit gym. You obviously do CrossFit workouts, and you also do the Olympic lifting stuff. But do you feel like it's important to market yourself more as like a general athlete or kind of a nutrition expert as opposed to a quote-unquote CrossFit athlete? Because in my eyes, when I look at the stuff you put out there, you just did this Cosmo interview, and with your seminars, like you said, there's people that go there that don't necessarily do CrossFit. Do you feel like that's important to not kind of pigeonhole yourself?
Yeah, I think that it's important if you're wanting to branch outside of that. My enthusiasm for fitness has always been collective. CrossFit has been the most influential aspect of my fitness endeavor, period. However, I didn't start with CrossFit, and I don't just do CrossFit. I run, I do yoga. I want to try, the spin class. Starting to pick up. I've done martial arts before. I'm starting to pick it back up. So I'm a fitness enthusiast,
Right.
and I think that's what people resonate and relate to me with, is because I'm not gonna. I love CrossFitters, but we tend to kind of take that holier than thou road if you don't do CrossFit.
Yep.
It's like, oh well, you're not a real athlete. Well, they are, but in their own sport. And even if they aren't. So what? If you're getting up and you're doing something that is going to benefit your health and make you happy, then I am not one to judge. And I want people to see me and be inspired to try something and not be terrified to try something. So it depends on what you want. If you want to be identified as like the CrossFit girl or the CrossFit guy, then that's what you should do. Or the yogi girl, yogi guy, then take that route. But for me, I just love fitness generally. And it's important to just keep that message out there.
Cool. Yeah, that actually reminds me of something that Greg Glassman said about, or I've heard it in the CrossFit videos where they talk about it's not CrossFit against other types of sports, but it's us against the couch, right? So it's more.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, so recently there was a really cool event this past weekend that I heard you hosted called Rush Club. Tell us a little bit about that, what your experience was like.
You know what? It was a freaking MMA meets CrossFit party, like straight up party. I can't even explain it. So
yeah, that was my experience.
You'll be able to watch these. You can watch some of the older ones, and they're just really, really cool. Rush Club in itself, the way that this works is it takes one athlete versus another athlete. So it's individual head to head. They do one workout, and the workout can be whatever. It's on stage in this nightclub atmosphere with lights and smoke and music, and it's just like all your senses are in overload, and they match these people up in weight class categories. So that still mimics the MMA or, They also make sure that the people's talents are very similar to each other. So they're not going to put somebody in the same weight class category against that is a really heavy lifter against somebody that's in their weight class category that's a really strong gymnast. They're going to match them as closely as possible to get the best duel out there. And they go head to head. And I'm telling you, like, they had to go back with this last event. They had to go back and watch frame for frame to figure out who finished this workout first to declare the winner. Frame for frame. That's like watching, think about horse racing. That's how intense it was. And it's just been really, really cool. They've actually just recently implemented the adaptive category where they're just not taking one adaptive athlete versus another adaptive athlete. They're taking one that, maybe they don't have with the upper level and lower level, which means that this past one guy, he didn't have an arm, the other guy didn't have a hand. So everything that they programmed was single-handed for the other hand.
That's awesome.
And the guys were still in the same weight class category. They still had similar strengths. They wanted to be just like everything else. And just to let you know, they still got the same amount cash prize.
Wow, that's awesome.
As every other division. Yes, they're not treated like second-class citizens. They are treated as legitimate athletes because they are. They are just, and they are treated in the way that they are going to be matched against somebody that is appropriate for that division. So it's been really, really cool. AJ, the founder, and his CEO is Stacy. They are honestly some of the the best people that I've ever met. They have such an excitement and enthusiasm for this. It's small, it's a startup, but I was like, I have to figure out how to be involved. I love it. I love what they're doing with it. Pure entertainment. It's just, think about how you feel when you're watching the fights. It's this, but with CrossFit. And it's really, really good. It's really, really good.
That's awesome. So you actually approached them, like you said, you loved it and wanted to be involved. So that was you approaching them to be involved? Is that how that worked?
I met Stacy, the CEO, at an event last year, and she told me about it. And I was like, this is amazing. I don't know, like, I want to come to one. And so we were talking about having like a Christmas in July event, and I hosted one for them in Toronto. And the first one that I watched on video, like, it was all of our people together. I watched it and I just knew that I had to be involved somehow. And we've been talking about, hosting and kind of potentially what that looks like for an investment. And, we're exploring that right now. But it's something that I definitely want to be involved in one way or another.
Awesome. Yeah, I started following it when I saw it pop up, several months ago, whatever, and it seems super exciting. I haven't been able to make it to one, unfortunately, but I'll definitely keep up with it and keep watching them for sure.
The next one I think is November 21st in Phoenix, and
awesome.
It's going to be a blast.
Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely put links to that in the show notes and stuff.
Bigger and bigger every time.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll link to that in the show notes. People can go to rushclubnation.com to check out more on that. So we're running a little bit low on time here, so we're going to start wrapping things up with a section that we call Quick Hits. So this is basically questions that we ask each of our guests, and it's always fun to just see how different people answer the same set of questions.
Cool. So first off here, what do you do Christmas to decompress?
I hang out with my dog. I go to the beach. I don't have a lot of downtime, and just working Monday through Friday or Monday to Monday. But I just kind of like to turn my brain off somehow. But hanging out with Fran, yeah, cool. Cuddling, making her cuddle with me because she's not a cuddle bug.
I can relate. My dog Hercules is impossible to get him to cuddle. So if there was a movie made about your life, what would be the obstacle or the hardship that you had to overcome in order to achieve your success or become the woman that you are today?
Taking that first step, that whole scenario that I talk about, where getting myself to Iraq, putting myself in a war zone with, I don't know how many factors of death that are there. And for me to be able to realize that I'm worth more than what I was giving myself.
And is that something that you talk about in your book as well? Is that something that you've elaborated on in there?
It is. I get into it a little bit, and I want to expand further in maybe a later publication. But I do talk about my aha moment. I talk about my, coming up, my childhood, teenage years, my rebellious time. So it does have my background in there for sure.
Cool. So, third here, when do you feel like you get hit by the most inspiration or ideas?
Oh man. It's funny. I get the most ideas, like creative ideas, when I'm going to sleep. So I keep a notepad beside my bed because it's just like I can completely take over the world right before I go to sleep. And inspiration, I find that when I do smaller venues, smaller events, like my seminars or a local competition, that's when I get the most inspiration. Or when I come to my gym and I get to teach class. And Guy this morning told me, I've been coaching him at 6 a.m. whenever I'm home. And he told me this morning that he watched the video with me, and that's why he came to CrossFit over 5 years ago. And, it's just cool to hear that kind of stuff. But the athletes and their successes and their achievements really, really inspire me.
Awesome. Speaking of inspiration, and you mentioned mentors before. Who are your mentors, and you obviously have had them. So who are they, and how have they affected your life?
Well, my mother a huge mentor to me. She's just my hero, to be honest. And I always bounce things off of her. As far as like really diving into this industry's business mentors, I'm going to have to give a huge shout out to Nate Forrester of Rhino Co. He's just been, I've known him for years, and we've always been on the same mindset, but he's just a huge thinker, really aggressive go-getter, and he'll let me know whether he thinks something will work or not, and he's not real polite about it. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. Another really great mentor to me are the Barbell Shrug guys, for sure. Mike Bledsoe, Doug, and Chris. I love bouncing off ideas off of them. And of course, my favorite cameraman of all time, CTP. I got to give him a shout out for sure. But especially sitting down with Mike and Doug, they really see the way that I work, and there's a great synergy there. And, we're always able to just make the idea bigger and better, at the same time simpler.
Got it. Yeah, yes. Big shout out to those guys. I'm a big fan of their podcast as well, and I'll link to them in the show notes too. So you guys, after you download this podcast and finish it up, go check out the Barbell Shrug podcast. Those guys are doing some really, really good things over there.
And there's Barbell Business too,
yep,
which is an excellent podcast if you're really looking to dive into the business industry.
Totally. Yeah, I've listened to that one as well. They've got a lot of
gym. Yeah, they really thrive with that.
For sure. So last but certainly not least, we're going to end this with one final question, and that is, do you have a favorite quote or maybe any words that you live by, or maybe a favorite piece of advice that someone's given you over the years?
One thing that I held on to for years and years, and I had this little quote, and I somehow managed to keep this little piece of paper for all of these years. And it said, she didn't know that it couldn't be done, so she went ahead and did it. And I just love that, because people are always going to tell you no. And to them, it may not be possible, but they're not the one dictating your life. At least they shouldn't be. And the only person that should believe that it's not possible or it's possible is you. They actually did this really cool. They're doing a lot of stuff right now with the mind ability and the culture that we live in. And I'm going to butcher this a little bit, but I'm just going to give you a little snapshot. But ultimately, they're doing a lot of research of people that are born blind, and they're being raised in these cultures that don't tell them no, they can't do that because they're blind. And so they're developing these hyper senses and almost sonar vision.
Wow.
Yeah. Because they never were told that they weren't supposed to, or they couldn't. They never had that obstacle, or even that opportunity to have to think differently. They just adapted to their environment because they weren't given restrictions.
That's an interesting concept. That's really cool.
That's awesome.
It's
Some
really
people may call it
cool. So I think that some of us are a little bit more inclined to try and, create our own environment versus submit to the one that is being given to us.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. We're going to start wrapping things up with our plug party here. We've got a lot of stuff to plug. So please tell people where they can go to find out about your book, or to purchase your book, and to find out about your seminars, and to connect with you online and everything like that.
Thanks. You can go to christmasabbott.com to see my seminars. There's a newsletter that you can sign up for that has all of the information up and coming. And then, of course, my book, there's fitmoo.com. If you go to the store, my store on fitmoo.com, you can get an autographed copy. That's the only place you can get an autographed copy. Otherwise, it's at Barnes & Noble's, Amazon, or any local bookstore. That's really cool.
Awesome.
For me, at least.
And, of course, your social networks?
It's everything at Christmas Abbott, ABBOTT.
Cool. 2 B's
really
and 2
difficult
T's.
to stop.
Awesome. So you guys can follow me on my social networks, and those are just at FatTonyBMX. And, of course, I'm most active on Instagram, but I've got the Twitter, the Facebook, and the website.com as well. Jerry, what are your social networks?
Jerry, yep, it's going to be Jerry Lamigo at LAMIGO.
All right. And you guys can go to the show's website. That is theexpansionprojectpodcast.com. We'll have all the show notes from this episode and the others on there. And then, of course, on the right side of the page, there's a few affiliate links. We've got the Amazon affiliate, and if you order stuff from there, it kicks back a little bit of money to the show. We've also got Nutrasumma, Nutrasumma. If you go to Nutrasumma.com, you can use the promo code FATTONY1 for 20% off of all your supplements.
Awesome.
Also, I'm going to give a shout out to my brand new co-host. His shop is wodshop.com. That's WOD shop.com. You guys can go there to order all your CrossFit gear. If you guys need some wrist wraps or knee sleeves or a new jump rope or anything like that, go to wodshop.com. And once again, I'll plug my newest business venture, which is breakparallel.com, which is a place where we put all the best content from the functional fitness world. So, videos of your favorite athletes like Christmas. We've got some videos of her on there already. We've got really cool photo galleries. We've got event results and things like that. So if you guys are into fitness, especially CrossFit in the functional fitness world, please bookmark and support breakparallel.com. And until next time, this is Fat Tony and Jerry Lamigo, and saying thank you to Christmas. We've really enjoyed this conversation, Christmas. So thank you for joining us today again.
Thanks, Christmas.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. And I know I wasn't very articulate today, but I'm going to go eat some more and back together. So thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.